Welcome to Stack Kings Live NFL Edition Week 4. We got some great picks for you today, but before we get to those, we're going to have Frank break down some of the major injuries of the week.
Yeah, Tony, we have a couple of notable injuries. Roddy White's been dealing with a hamstring. He said he's ready to play on Sunday. Jamal Charles has been dealing with an ankle. He could play Monday night against the Patriots. Deshaun Jackson's been dealing with the shoulder. Expected to play tonight. Arian Foster, the hamstring, could be a game-time decision on Sunday. Jake Locker, the wrist, has been giving him some trouble. He may miss Week 4 on Sunday. Charlie Whitehurst should start. You have Josh McCown, the thumb. Mike Glennon is expected to start. And finally, we have Brandon Marshall. He's been dealing with an ankle. Could be a game-time decision, Tony.
Yeah, actually, Brandon Marshall, man, if they miss him, look for Alshon Jeffrey to get a big game there for sure.
And Vernon Davis. Also, his ankle has been giving some trouble. He should play Week 4 against Philly.
That'll help San Francisco out a lot. Definitely Kaepernick on those short passes. He needs Vernon Davis in there for sure. Going straight to our picks now. What we're going to do this week is we're just going to give you the best player on the board for the cash, and we're going to go straight into quarterback. My quarterback is Philip Rivers for San Diego, $15,234. That's fairly good price for this guy, especially going up against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense gives up, and let me say this twice, 39.7 points a game. 39.7 points a game. They give up 306 passing yards a game. That's last in the league. Both of their cornerbacks rate as some of the worst in the league on Pro Football Focus. So they have no cornerbacks. They have no secondary. And Philip Rivers has had a pretty tough schedule so far, his first 3 games. This is going to be one of his easiest games of the year. He's got 108.3 quarterback rating, 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. I think he's a no-brainer play this week, and I think he's absolutely the best quarterback on the board as far as being safe play. You know what you're going to get from him. He's going to have a big game.
We finally agree, Tony. I have Philip Rivers at quarterback position as well. He's coming off consecutive games with at least 23 fantasy points against Seattle and Buffalo. He has Ryan Matthews and Danny Woodhead both sidelined with injuries, with respective knee and ankle injuries. So that means, for one thing, for Stack Kings users, is that the San Diego Chargers offense is going to run through one man only, and that's Philip Rivers.
That's
Expect
right.
a big day out of him on
Absolutely. I'm going to throw in an honorable mention. It's Blake Bortles. He is the number 4 overall draft pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are starting him this week. This is against San Diego, against Philip Rivers. I expect Philip Rivers to throw for a lot of yards, San Diego to be up in this game. And let me just, first of all, let me tell you his salary. It's $10,654, which is a great salary for a quarterback. Jacksonville will be down, and in the second half of last week, he came in at halftime, and he threw against Indianapolis 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and ran for 30 more. He's a throw, run player, and this guy has some talent, and I really believe for $10,654, you can get your money's worth with Blake Bortles this week.
I have a couple honorable mentions at the quarterback position as well. First, I have Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers. He's going up against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has really struggled against the pass this year, so I really expect Big Ben to have a big day. The only problem I have with Roethlisberger this week and why he's an honorable mention is that you have that big running attack for Pittsburgh, ranked number 1 in the league this year. So that might divert a little bit of his passing game, or the passing game for the Steelers. So, but I think he could be a good option. That's why he's honorable mention. One more, I have Kirk Cousins, who really displayed to the NFL that he is a competent NFL passer. He's going up against the Giants. We've been saying week after week the Giants secondary leaves much to be desired. They've given up an average of 18.5 fantasy points to quarterbacks so far this year. So if you had the likes of Garcon, Jackson, and Paul in there receiving passes from Cousins, I think he could have a big day against the Giants.
Spaghetti RG3 is done. Kirk Cousins is the quarterback there. They're not going to put RG3 back in. I don't care what they say. Kirk Cousins is a better player. He throws the ball downfield.
He looks comfortable in the
Absolutely.
pocket.
He looks like an NFL pocket passer, and that's what you need. So I agree. I think he's a good play.
He's a running back.
He's a good play moving forward. For running back, I got Lamar Miller, the running back for Miami Dolphins. He's $8,452. I think he's one of the best plays on the board. I know there's a lot of big running backs, but at $8,452, that seems low, but I think he's going to have a really big game. He's playing at Oakland. He's averaging 5.8 yards a carry. Oakland's defense is giving up 158 yards a game on the ground. That's 31st in the league. There's only one team worse. There's no Sean Marino, so it's going to be all Lamar Miller. Tannehill's had his problems to start the year, and I think it's just going to be a lot of dump passes to Miller, some screens. I think it's just going to be all Lamar Miller, and I feel like he's going to have a big game. 100 total yards, a touchdown, I think is pretty much put that on the board, in my opinion. I really like this guy. And $8,452, he's a steal.
And he had a good game against the Chiefs, over 100 yards rushing.
He did.
So he looked good. And moving forward, later on in the season, I think that Noshawn's going to come back, and I think he's going to emerge on the scene as a #1. But right now, Lamar could be a good play.
I think he's a great play.
I like that pick, Tony.
Thank you.
For the top value pick I have, a running back, I have Fred Jackson. He's going up against the Houston Texans. Texans haven't really been that great against the run this year. They're ranked 25th. I understand that Jackson's going to split carries with Spiller, but what I like about Jackson is his receiving ability, and we're in a PPR league here at Stat Kings, so I think that he's a good value there. I think that Spiller is going to look pretty fast on that turf. He's going to look pretty fast on that turf at Houston. However, I think because of his hands and his ability to score in the red zone, because he's going to get those red zone touches, I think Spiller is more of a guy who's going to run midfield or so. But once you get down to the red zone, I think you're going to have Jackson going to get those carries, and I think he's a good pick.
For some reason, they don't like Spiller. I don't know why. They just don't seem to use him a lot. And Fred Jackson has been a proven good running back for a long time now.
He's getting up there in age,
he's effective. He seems to break tackles. He can get in the end zone. He can catch passes out of the backfield. I like that pick. That's a good pick.
Wide receiver?
I just have one honorable mention. I just want to mention Donald Brown for the San Diego Chargers with Danny Woodhead and Ryan Matthews out. If San Diego gets up in this game, even though Rivers is going to be throwing, I think Donald Brown could get 20-plus carries. I just think he's somebody to throw out there just to think about if you have nobody else. I'm going to move to wide receiver. My wide receiver of the week, best play on the board, in my opinion, is Michael Crabtree, $9,547. He's playing Philly. The Philly defense gives up 280 yards a game through the air. That's 30th in the league. That's terrible. They've had 3 sacks all year, so they literally have no pass rush whatsoever. Colin Kaepernick, when he gets some pass rush, he gets a little bit flustered. If nobody's coming after him, he should have a lot of time to throw the ball. That's going to give Crabtree time to get downfield. I think look for him to connect to Crabtree on some long passes, and I think Crabtree's going to have 100 yards and maybe a TD. So
Crabtree was a guy that I was contemplating starting, but I actually went with Jeremy Maclin of the Eagles. He's going up against the Niners, who have been pretty bad against the pass this year. Macklin's in a contract year. He's really playing like it. He's posted a touchdown in 5 straight games and 6 of 7 dating back to 2012. I really think that he's going to have a big day. Jordan Matthews really showed up last week and emerged on the scene as a fantasy darling. But I think that you have to take the Missouri native here because of his association with Nick Foles. He loves passing to him, and I think he could have a big day.
Macklin's great. I think he's the #1 receiver by far on the team, and I think he's a good play this week, especially against San Francisco, who's going to be a shootout. So I like that play a lot.
Any honorable mentions at wide receiver?
I do. I have one honorable mention, and it's a really low guy. He's going to be all the way at the bottom. He's $6,800, and you've probably never heard of this guy, but he plays for Jacksonville. He's a second-round pick for Jacksonville. It's Allen Robinson. He's going to be starting as wideout. He's going to have Blake Bortles throwing him the ball. They're going to be down in this game, so he should be firing. And if he does fire early and often, which I think he will, he's going to be firing to Allen Robinson. He was a former high school standout basketball player. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. He's got a lot of skills. He's got explosiveness. He's got hands. He's got jumping ability. I really feel like this guy's a sleeper, and especially this week at $6,800. If you don't have anybody or you're out of money, throw him in there. I think you'll be very happy at the end of the week.
Tony, I'm going to take a guy out of your playbook that you've been raving about for a few weeks, and that's Steve Smith Sr.
Yes.
The 14-year veteran is playing very well this year. And you have the Ravens, who have a limited pass attack. Dennis Pettit goes down with the hip. So you have another guy in there that probably is going to see more receptions. Through 3 games, he has 18 catches for 290 yards and a touchdown. He's leading in the league among targets to wide receivers, so he is shaping up to be a pretty good pick, and I really like him against the Carolina Panthers. My second honorable mention is Edelman of the Patriots going up against Kansas City. Edelman is among The best receivers when it comes to receptions, again, we're talking about a PPR league.
Absolutely.
He has 22 receptions in the NFL. That ranks 4th among all wide receivers. So I think that Wes Welker 2.0,
Yes.
Edelman, could have a big night and could emerge on the scene as the #1 receiver for the Patriots on Monday Night Football.
I agree. And Steve Smith going against his old team, Carolina, he's going to have some anger there. He's going to want to have a big game. So that's one of the reasons I like that play.
A lot of guys are calling it the Steve Smith Bowl. So
it could be, honestly. I mean, the lights and camera action is going to be on him. And Edelman, of course, I like him too. He's been a PPR monster for 2 years now. Security blanket pretty much for Brady. There's really nobody else in the wideout in that offense other than Gronkowski, who I'm going to get to right now. Unless you have anybody honorable mentions,
nope.
That's it.
I'm
going to tight end. Rob, no shirt, Gronkowski, the man. It's Monday night. It's going to be on TV, national coverage. He's going to want to do something.
Yes,
he said this week that he's ready for more snaps. If you've seen the last 3 years, he's literally been unstoppable other than his injuries. He's pretty much uncoverable over the middle. With no Derek Johnson in this game, I think that there's going to be trouble with him over the middle, especially considering Kansas City's got a pretty good pass rush. Brady's going to have to get that ball off pretty quick, and I think he's going to dump it to Gronkowski on these 10 and 15-yard plays. So I like Gronkowski a lot. I feel like this is the week he busts out and has 100 and a TD. Maybe even 2, and I know that's a stretch, but I really believe no shirt Gronkowski shows off his muscles on Monday night.
Well, Jimmy Graham, he maybe upset some fantasy owners last week, but I think he'll return to that Week 2 peak performance where he caught 10 balls for 118 yards. So Jimmy Graham against the Cowboys, I like a lot. The Cowboys have not proven much resistance against tight ends this year. They've given up a league-high abomination of 290 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, and 27 receptions to opposing tight ends. So I don't see them stopping arguably the best tight end in the game in Jimmy Graham. So the matchup's there. All we need now is Jimmy Graham to consummate these predictions, and I really like him going up against the Cowboys.
You know, you got to pick your weeks with some of these high-dollar guys.
You do.
And I definitely think this is the week to start Jimmy Graham, especially against Dallas. Their defense is bad. It's not as bad as everybody thought it would be, but it's still terrible. So I don't think there's anybody on the team that can cover this guy one-on-one. Even if they double cover him, Breeze is going to be looking for this guy all day long. I love him this week as well, so I like that pick a lot. Any honorable mentions?
I do have an honorable mention. Delaney Walker of the Titans going up against the Colts. The Colts are another team that have been bad against tight ends this year. Delaney Walker has 21 targets in his past 2 games against Dallas and Cincinnati. And in one meeting last season, Tony, he jumped on the Colts for 10 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. So I think that there could be a similar case this Sunday going up against the Colts. He's got a favorable matchup. I think you have to play Walker if you don't want to go a guy that's more expensive like a Graham or a Gronkowski.
Sure. And you've been riding this guy. He's been good. I mean, he's proven to be maybe a top 5 tight end this year. I mean, really. The only problem that he's going to have is if Locker doesn't play and Whitehurst comes in, you never know what's going to happen there.
Right.
But
the matchup's there.
The matchup is definitely there. Going to kicker, I think this is an absolute no-brainer start. I don't even think you should even look at anybody else on the board except for Nick Novak versus Jacksonville. $6,985. Let's just say this. Jacksonville's giving up 39.7 points a game. They're the worst defense in the league. This guy should be in the red zone all the time. Even if they're not scoring touchdowns, this guy should kick a lot. Whether it's extra points or field goals, I think he's 10-plus easy this week for sure. I think he's the safest play on the board and maybe even the best play on the board.
I'll tell you another guy that's interesting, though, is Dan Bailey of the Cowboys going up against the Saints. He's been kicking really anything that has been standing in his way. He's scored 19 fantasy points in 2 weeks. He's gone 4 for 4 from 40 to 49 yards out. So he's showing accuracy even from quite a ways from the goalposts. And I really think that he could do some damage against the Saints if the Cowboys can score. I don't know, but Tony Romo, he's pretty erratic. He's week to week. You don't know what he's going to do. But this could be a shootout, and for that, I think that Dan Bailey deserves mention.
It's in the dome.
It is in the dome.
And he's got a big leg, so, you know, even if they get 50, 55 yards out, he can make those. So I agree. I like that pick. That's a good one. Any honorable mentions at all?
Moving on.
Okay, defense, special teams. I have the Houston Texans. They're playing at home against the Buffalo Bills. $5,127. I think this is a great play on the board, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the Bills like to run the ball a lot, which should run the clock. Houston's having trouble through the air. If Arian Foster doesn't play, Alfred Blue will come in. They'll definitely give him a lot of carries. But here's the big reason. E.J. Manuel. Let's look at E.J. Manuel, okay? 91.4 quarterback rating at home. 67.8 quarterback rating on the road. Okay. 88.2 quarterback rating on turf. And a 66.5 quarterback rating on grass. He's playing on the road on grass. So take the 67.8 quarterback rating on the road and the 66.5 quarterback rating on grass. On the road on grass, it should be a bad day for EJ. I don't see the statistics are just showing that. I don't see how you can get anything going through the air. If the Houston Texans stack the box, you got J.J. Watt there, who's a monster. They can't run to his side. You know, they don't even want to use Spiller that much. So it's going to be Fred Jackson for the most part. I think it's going to be a tough day for Buffalo, and I love the Texans' defense this week.
Well, you mentioned Bortles earlier. I'm not quite sure about Bortles performing, so for that I have San Diego going up against Jacksonville. The Bolts have at least 2 sacks in all 3 games this season, 3 fumble recoveries, and have allowed no more than 21 points. I think they'll jump over the quiet Jags, and you can see a lot of fireworks from the San Diego sidelines.
Bortles is definitely going to throw the ball downfield, so there could be some interceptions there. He's going to be doing the run option and running the ball. There could be some fumble opportunities, so I definitely think there's an opportunity for some big points.
Big day for San Diego.
One honorable mention for me, I'm going to... First of all, if Jake Locker does not play this week, I think you should really look at the Colts defense versus Tennessee. Charlie Whitehurst really is a career backup. I'm not even really sure why he's still in the league. I don't see him coming out and throwing 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a really long day for this guy, especially if he starts. So if Locker's out, look to throw the Colts in last minute. They're $5,078. I think that's a good play.
Well, that'll do it, guys. I'm Frank Travis. This is Tony Badalucco. Remember, do your research and choose your team wisely if you want to become fantasy sports royalty. Signing off from Kansas City, Missouri. See you guys in Week 5.
See you guys.